So how is everybody? Right. Doing good? Doing great. Doing good. Hey, we're going to start off doing something just a little bit different. Everybody in here, if you know somebody that's not in the room tonight, that's a neighbor, co-worker, whatever, if you know somebody that's not in this building, just stand up right quick. Danielle, you don't know anybody else? Stand up. You know somebody. Stand up. So at this point, everybody's standing up because everybody knows somebody else. And so now, if you have invited someone to Excel this week, or if you have told your story to someone, testimony or whatever, stay standing, everybody else sit down. All right, so this is a great number. It's definitely more than I expected. Y'all go ahead and have a seat. But this is what we're going to talk about tonight, is being strong enough and courageous enough to tell other people how to tell your story. Tell you what, it is a little bit different, having to look all different angles. So I'm going to stand back here. Several times in the Bible, God told us that we needed to be strong and courageous. And today, if anybody goes to West Rome Baptist, Jared pretty much, some kind of noise going on up here. That's good. Thank you, Rick. So Jared told us this morning at West Rome about us telling our story to other people. And those of you who stood up, each of us have a story to tell. And last week James told us his story. My story is a little different, but yet it's the same thing, kind of. But mine is unique compared to others, just like each one of you. My story, I was never hooked on any kind of drug. I just never did that. Never been an alcoholic. Never, just been one of those bad people. But my story started off when I was 15 years old, and my daddy died. And I took a different journey to get here. And one thing led to another, and I lined myself up with the right people. And so 10 years ago, I started working with Cartersville Brewery over in Cartersville, in case you needed to know that. And worked there 10 years, and I'm sitting in there. I worked the midnight shift, and just completely loved my job, and I really did. But one night I was in the break room, and I was in there by myself, and God just told me, He said, you need to quit your job and start up a men's ministry at West Rome Baptist Church. And just to give you a little background about the brewery out there, is I was making probably $85,000 a year. I had all my insurance paid. I have 5 kids, and didn't have to pay a dime for my insurance. Had money going into a pension. Had money going into a 401k. We were doing all right. We were doing all right. And then in the middle of the night, I'm sitting there, and it was just like I'm talking to you. And God said, quit your job. And I don't know if you've ever had God tell you something like that, but that can send you in a whirlwind of emotions when you're saying to yourself, there's no way I can leave this job and go to zero, not knowing where my next paycheck's going to come from. So I go home, and I'm on the way home, and just mixed with emotions, not knowing what to think. And so then I got to face the boss. I go home, and before I even open my mouth, my wife said, what in the world is wrong with you? And I said, well, God's told me to build an ark. And I'm going to have people make fun of me, call me an idiot. Where's Dominic? First one to tell me that. And so I told her, I said, I don't know how we're going to make it, how we're going to survive, but God said do something, and I think I need to do it. And so my wife, being the common sense person in the family and the person who really thinks about stuff, I'm just a doer, don't worry about the consequences. So I'm sitting there, and she says to me, well, are you going to go back to work tonight? And she was ready for me to quit right then. And it just blew my mind. I was not prepared for that. The whole reason that I'm telling this is that each one of us have a story. And there's people that will listen to me, and there's people that will listen to you. And those people might not listen to Jared, to whoever, but they'll listen to you. And so each one of us have our own story. And if you don't tell somebody, they may never come to know Jesus Christ. So that's our main point of the evening, is if you never tell it, they may never know. There's people in this room right now that if you died on the way home, you would probably go to hell. Just because nobody has ever opened up and shared that with you. And so you don't know a thing about Jesus Christ. The thing is, those of us that do, we don't think we're better than you. Which you'll hear a lot of people say, well, they're a Christian, they think they're better than other people. We don't think we're better. We just know we're better off because we have Him and we know where we're going. And so, I'm getting my notes while I get too carried away. The other thing that I didn't say when I started was, the good thing is that with me speaking tonight, it's going to go real quick. I don't do the long-winded thing. But this morning when I heard, I'm going to go back to this morning, when I heard Jared talking this morning, and I just thought, I'm just going to call him, send him a text, and say, hey, would you just cover this evening? And that's when God said, you know what? There's a reason that I put you there tonight. Whether I'm stumbling and saying 50 times, whatever. But there's somebody that will listen to me that might not listen to Jared. And so He puts us in our place when we need to be there. So, the one thing I want to do that's going to be a little different from anything that we've ever done at Excel is I got a couple of guys in the back, and they're going to come around real quick with a basket. And our whole deal at Excel, the vision of Excel, is connecting people to the God that's got a great plan for their lives. And I don't know if any of you were here last week or not, but tonight was kind of a good example because the numbers seem low. Doesn't seem to be as many people in the room. And so what I'm going to ask you to do, kind of like a short assignment deal, is I just want you to take these postcards that they're passing around, and we're just going to write the names of 5 people, whether it be a coworker, a family member, a neighbor, whoever. 5 people that are not here tonight that you think one day you would like to be able to talk to and share your story, or invite them to Excel. And so just real quick, just write those down. And then what we'll do is we'll just pass them all up to the front. Now as you do this, I I do want you to know that we're not going to, one, I don't even want you to put your name on there. I don't want to know who even wrote it. But what we're going to do with it, the leadership of Excel, we're going to take it and we're just going to pray over this list. We're going to pray for the people on it. That's the first thing we're going to do, because there was a reason that you put their name down. Are y'all passing out pens too? Yeah. You got any pens over here? You can drop it on you. The second thing we're going to do with this list of people that you would like to one day invite here is we're going to pray for you, and that you have the strength and the courage to actually ask them to tell them your story and to find out if they would like to one day come to Excel. So that's what we're going to do. We're not going to call them. We're not going to send them emails. I'm not asking for any of that. All we're going to do is pray over this list. And then as soon as you write it, I guess we can just pick them back up. Everybody just pass them kind of towards the center. You know y'all going to have to walk as much as I want to. And as you're doing that, the main point, if you don't hear anything else tonight, is there is somebody that needs to hear your story, that needs to hear from you. And if you tell them, if you do not tell them, they may never come to know Jesus Christ. That's the main key point. And if, like I say, if you don't leave knowing that, then you've missed the whole point of tonight. The next thing, as you are still writing, is for another group of people here tonight. There's people here tonight that you might not know of who we're talking about in this Jesus Christ. You might have heard of him. You might still have questions. That type of deal. And I'm talking to you guys too, because there's probably people here that do not know Jesus. And what I strongly urge you to do is in just a minute, I'm going to say a prayer. And as I'm saying it, you just stand up where you are, and I'm going to have somebody come stand beside you. They're not going to hound you. They're not going to, we're not doing it so that we can have your email or phone number and we'll call you every day for the next year. We want to help you connect with God that's got a great plan for your life. And so, in just a minute when I pray, if you feel that need, you stand up, and I'll have somebody come stand beside you, and they'll walk with you in the back, and whatever questions you might have, you might even just need to tell your story to somebody tonight. And that's what that time is for. You can do that. And if you have questions, we will try our best to get those answers for you before you leave tonight. Got all the paper? Randy, I gave you a basket. Here's one other thing that I'm going to do tonight, and then I'm going to let James and the crew take over and we'll fight. Oh, I didn't even get to that good part, did I? Oh, I forgot that. At the info desk out front, at the end of the night, I'm going to have these little keychain carabiner things. And then they've just got the xlwires.com on there. And I just ask that when you leave, you go by there and pick one up and put it on your keychain. And every time you go to get in your car, in your business, whatever, even in your house, think of somebody, if you go into your house, think of somebody that you live beside that you can talk to and share your story with. you're getting in the car, somebody that you're fixing to go meet, you need to be able to tell your story. Somebody you work with. Just let that be a reminder when you go to tell your story to somebody, because if you never tell it to that person, they may never know Jesus Christ. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pray for us. And like I said, if you need to talk to someone while I'm praying, just stand up. We'll have somebody come and stand by you, and they'll walk you back to back. We're not going to do anything crazy. We'll just walk you through, and anything you might have a question, you just let us know. Let me pray for you. God, thank you for tonight. Thank you for the chance to tell a story of how we each have a story that we can tell. Thank you for giving me a short few minutes just to kind of tell my story. And I just pray that if there is someone in this room that needs to talk with you, that they just get right up and start asking those questions. I just pray for everybody in this room and this list of names that everybody has given. Because for some reason, their name was written down on this piece of paper. For some reason, they were thought about tonight. And so I just pray, Lord, that you protect the people in this room, that when they do go and they do speak and they do talk to their friends, they do talk to their coworkers, that God, you just give them the ability to speak freely, have the strength and courage to talk to you. Lord, for the people that are on this list, I just pray that once the people in this room do have the courage and the strength to speak to them, that they willingly listen. Lord, once again, I just thank you for this time tonight. And thank you for everything you've done for us. In your name I pray. Amen.